now we turn our eye on South Korea.
Indeed, and our eyes are on Christy Lou Stout. She joins us live from the world's biggest shipyard. Christy.
Hey there, today I'm in Ulsan, South Korea. It's a coastal city just southeast of Seoul. It is the home of the global headquarters of Hyundai Heavy Industries, as well as you mentioned just now, Andrew, the world's biggest shipyard. This place is absolutely gargantuan. It spans out over 7.2 million square meters. And if you want to put that into perspective, if we say a football field is 10,000 square meters, this place is equivalent to 700 football fields. Now, around me, you can see some of the ships that are in the process of being built. There are 9 dry docks here, and they can churn out about 80 vessels a year. So that averages out to 1 mega ship being built into every 4 days. Now, this is the impressive heart of South Korea's shipbuilding industry, the #1 in the world. Eunice Yoon takes us on the tour.
This may not look like advanced technology, but it is. Here at the biggest shipyard in the world, owned by South Korea's Hyundai Heavy, the ships are made of old-fashioned steel. But many of these giant parts are welded together using robots and lasers. It's high-tech equipment like this that Hyundai hopes will keep rivals in its wake.
We are currently the world leader, and we are trying to keep this position for a long time to come. So we should maintain our superiority in technology.
South Korea's shipbuilders got off the ground in the 1970s when Hyundai first built this shipyard. Though mocked by industry experts for its inexperience, Hyundai quickly became a huge success by using cheap labor and a nearly militant work ethic. Today, South Korea is the largest shipbuilding nation, finishing a new ship every 4 days. But the industry could soon be on the ropes.
China is the biggest threat. And the reason behind is that they have a huge customer base by themselves. And the secondly, still their labor cost is cheaper. And the third, they wanted to be a global #1 leader. They are aiming at year 2015.
Hyundai has no intention of giving up control. The company is investing in new designs, testing small-scale models at this research lab.
We are making the ships faster, bigger, and more fuel efficient.
Streamlining the building process is key, too. Engineers cut the time it takes to make a ship by packing pipes and wires into blocks, some as big as apartment buildings, before these mega chunks are stuck together at a nearby dock. And nearly all the parts are made here.
Hyundai Heavy is one of the few shipbuilders that actually makes its own engines right at its shipyard. These engines work like regular car engines, except that they're 5 stories high.
Hyundai is also moving into vessels that can double as oil rigs and is starting to build these mammoth ships on land, a unique practice that allows these workers to produce even more ships faster.
Right now, we are under the ship. This system uses compressed air to lift ships and slide them effortlessly into the sea.
It's just one of the many technologies Hyundai hopes will propel its business to new heights. Eunice Yoon, CNN, Ulsan, South Korea.
South Korea is #1 in the world when it comes to shipbuilding, surpassing Japan just a couple of years ago, and this is why I have the model in my hand. It's an industry it's been in for a very long time. In fact, this is a model of what's supposed to be the world's first ironclad warship, even though it's built in wood. You got to take my word for it. And this was built by the South Koreans back in the 1500s, so they've been a pioneer in this industry for centuries. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to talk now about what South Korea needs to do to keep its top spot prime position. It is #1 in the world in terms of shipbuilding, but there are more aggressive, cheaper competitors like China snapping at its heels. So what does South Korea need to do in terms of keeping its top spot in the shipyard business? Well, joining me again, Peter Bartholomew is the managing director of IRC Limited, and you consult shipbuilders around the world.
Yes.
Just how big is the China threat?
China is certainly going to take a major portion of, let's say, the lower tech, the easier to build ships. However, what Korea is after are the high value added. In other words, ships with a lot of sophisticated technology in them, sophisticated systems. For example, a liquid natural gas system where the gas is frozen at 168 minus degrees Celsius with the most incredible safety and control system. Oil rigs of incredible control, pumping oil off the seabed in 3,000 meters water depth. The sophistication is unbelievable. So they're after that. third part of that high value added are ships, let's say, that the first time it's ever been designed. New oil rig that's never been designed, and it's super complex. The Koreans, more than the Japanese, more than the Chinese, and perhaps more even than the Europeans, are more adaptable to build a program for shipbuilding involving these complex systems for something that's never been done, and do it quickly, and most important, profitably. So they're keeping a step or two or three ahead of the Chinese in all these areas, and concurrently with that, developing product systems, production systems in the yard, constantly, fanatically. How can we build more efficiently, higher productivity, less waste, faster delivery time, higher quality? And the Chinese are nowhere near that.
So, I mean, the Chinese may have the lower end of the market. The South Koreans want to keep the higher end, more profitable end of the market. But still, the Chinese, they also want to move up the value chain. So could China one day surpass South Korea the same way South Korea surpassed the Japanese a few years ago in this industry?
It might be possible, but I don't think it's going to happen instantly. As I said, the Koreans are constantly moving forward, while the Chinese are also moving forward. But the Koreans have this economy of scale that you just described. Not just scale in size, but scale in sophisticated and complex systems that they are continuously, dynamically developing. I see the Chinese yards being more of a static shipbuilding technology. Indeed, starting from ground zero and being quite static. The Koreans have always been a dynamic development.
Do the Koreans have any weaknesses that they need to address in order to maintain their position, their number one position?
Well, first and foremost, not resting on their laurels, and they're certainly not doing that. Secondly, I think the Korean yards have not really developed the level of, let's say, ship design technology to the extent that they can do. It's getting better. I think that probably the greatest single weakness has been traditionally labor management relations. There's been a strident, militant labor union that's driven wages very high with a lot of other demands. But I must say, if you look at the yard today, only 50% of the workers you see in the yard are actually employees of the yard. And may I just reverse and go back? There is a community of shipbuilding subcontractors, services and goods and products and everything else that is equally sophisticated with the shipyard, and the Chinese have none of this.
A complex network that would be really difficult to emulate in just a matter of years with the Chinese.
It's not going to happen quickly, and multi-sophisticated development among that huge community, spearheaded by the Hyundai and other shipyards in the country.
All right, Peter Bartholomew, thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure.
Of IRC Limited, giving us some interesting insight there into what South Korea needs to do in order to maintain its position at the top in this industry. Let's go back to Hong Kong.
Yeah, Christy, really fascinating stuff that you were talking about there. I suppose it's difficult, isn't it, to top those gargantuan structures, but what else is coming up in your hour today?
Yeah, from the gargantuan to the relatively small and tiny, we're going to be focusing on the wire and mobile phones of the future, which you can find today here in South Korea. There's one I want to show you in particular. It's an extremely high-end video phone that you could shoot a viral video, and with a single click, upload it to YouTube.com. You'll see that next on CNN Today.
Why invest in Korea? It is a very advanced, very mature market where every car manufacturer wants to be.
Korea is an advanced manufacturing economy. Last year we won a presidential award for a $100 million export. It's a great place for Dow Corning to be.
There are few markets in Asia that have the openness and transparency of the Korean market, and that's why Macquarie's here.
Invest Korea, your business partner in Korea.